Okay guys, so you might well know that within adapted endurance, we very much advocate for running at various intensities probably within a 2 weekly period, expecting that most age group athletes, particularly triathletes who have to find time for swimming and biking as well, probably can't run more than 3 times per week or at the most 4 times per week. Therefore, if we want to encourage people to run at various intensity levels and various paces, we need to do that strategically, but it can sometimes be quite difficult. Now, here's some top tips where you can now start to add some very simple variation into your training paces and intensities. Okay, so number one, just mix the terrain that you run on. If you're always running on the track or treadmill, maybe get out onto the roads, maybe some grass, mixed surfaces like gravel. They tend to include more undulations as well, but they will naturally allow you periods of running where you go a little quicker and a little slower, depending on the hills and also on the terrain that you're running on as well. As far as hills are concerned, obviously, running uphill will definitely increase the effort level, even though your pace may drop. But also when you run downhill, which can be very useful, you will strengthen the fascia in your legs. That's a great way to use, or a great reason to use downhill running. But it doesn't come with the cardiorespiratory cost. So you can quite easily speed up to maybe 5k pace running down a gradient of 5%. But internally, as far as your heart and lungs are concerned, it doesn't really feel like you're running at 5k pace. So you can get the stimulus for the legs, both the neuromuscular side and the patterning of how you fire the leg muscles. You can improve the leg cadence and the leg speed, but you're not costing a lot for the heart and lungs when you use hills in that way. So there's number one is mixed terrain and hills. Number two is add some strides into your run. So if you're doing an easy run, it doesn't have to be exclusively easy. What you might decide to do is normally in the middle or in the later stages, just add in some accelerations where you speed up with good form and good cadence, aiming for something around 3k pace, just a little above your park run or your 5k sort of pace. Now, they need to be done as a pyramid, a gradual build from a jog, from your easy running, up to pace over 5 to 10 seconds, maybe hold that for a few seconds and then come down the other side. That way, they're very safe to do. And we would generally give people about 3 or 5 of those to do for 10 to 15 seconds with at least a 45 to 60 second recovery between. And that recovery can be walk or jog, it doesn't really matter. Remember, this is an easy run. The strides are not there to make it a hard run or make it an interval run. They're purely to improve the mechanics of running and also stimulate some of the fast twitch muscle fibers to work, which wouldn't have been activated during that longer or that easy run. So avoid, the one thing to avoid with the strides is starting from a dead stop. The power and the effort that you've got to put in to accelerate from a dead stop makes it a slightly higher injury risk. So I definitely prefer people to ease in and out of the intervals rather than abrupt starts and stops and make it more like sprinting. Okay, so that's the tip on strides. Now, going along with that is variation of paces means also go slower. So these easier runs, I wouldn't say the recovery runs, but on the easier runs or the endurance runs that you have each week, just slow down. You're probably always aiming to run in zone 2 as far as pace is concerned. But zone 1 has physiological benefits, even though we tend to avoid it and it's not talked about very much. Particularly as far as running is concerned, there is a lot of good that can come from anything that's above a walk pace. And what most people generally find if they organise their training based on heart rate is that they'll go into heart rate zone 2 straight away anyway. So although we can have a zone 1 pace, you'll already likely be into zone 2 heart rate unless you're very economical and efficient in your running. So slow down those long, easy runs. The fourth one, I think we're on, fourth one, is some fartlek runs, some speed play. So these are interval based, but it's not structured. When you go out of the door to do your run, you might not have decided when you're going to speed up and when you slow down. You don't need to measure them. So from that point of view, it avoids you judging yourself. It avoids you trying to beat your past self and beating yourself up if you're not quite as quick as last week. And basically you can tailor this session to how you feel on the day. It could be one of your key sessions, but in more likelihood, it's one of the secondary sessions where you just want to add a little bit of quality. So here, avoid on the fartlek runs going absolutely all out. So if you're running at 10k pace, don't be holding that for 10, 15, 20 minutes. This is more about varying the speed, look at the terrain, go from lamppost to lamppost, up short hills, you know, etc., etc. Use the terrain and the natural features around you to vary the run. And basically make it up as you go along, but avoid making it incredibly tough key session, I would say. And then really the last one is do include a structured interval run each week. Now, we would typically give something that's structured around LT1, maybe tempo, and then LT2. So those three kind of effort levels might become our actually highly structured training sessions for the week. And they would be, you know, enough minutes in the zone that we think it will stimulate fitness gains. They would ideally be progressive week to week. But again, we would organise that as maybe a short block of work on one area, and then the rest of the week would include different paces, or the rest of the 2 weeks would include different paces. And then we would change that block of structure. And then again, the other runs around it would reflect that change. So again, to finish, every 2 week period would include elements of everything that I've just gone through. Some strides, some hills, some mixed terrain, some LT1, maybe some tempo, some LT2, and then we've pretty much covered the whole gamut of varied pacing. Hope that helps. Give it a go.